Hi, this is James Gardner, the CineTechGeek, and I'm here with Leslie at the AJA stand. So Leslie, behind us here, well, we're looking at a demonstration of the Kona IP card, right? And from my understanding, this is just a typical Kona card. What type is it?
It is actually the equivalent of a Kona 4 on an IP connection. What we have at this point is, because that IP technology is being evolved, where it is operating at this point more on the level of what would be our Kona LHI. And what I mean to say by that is that the standards for different kinds of codecs and so on over IP are currently in development. At this point, what we've got is a card that meets what is available, which is uncompressed HD up to 60p. And what I think that this card does is it addresses the needs of the creative part of the market that recognizes that there is a transition to IP as infrastructure.
That's right. So I've been covering this a lot this year, and if you walk around NAB this year, you'll see that the big iron, like the Sonys and the Grass Valleys, have these new big switches, and their big sell this year is the fact that they're basically IPized, all of them. They're all got this logo, everyone's showing the AIMS logo, which is basically the industry coming together and agreeing on standards so they're interoperable. And great on for the big infrastructure boys, but what about us, little small post-production facilities? There's literally hundreds of thousands of us around the world, and how do we get into IP?
Well, and how do we get into it without actually going to a panic of some complete restructuring of our infrastructure?
That's right, and so we can now start implementing IP or replacing our coaxial infrastructure, or if you are going into a new build or a new facility and you have to put all the infrastructure for a post house, you now only have to put one infrastructure in, you remove your coaxial infrastructure and you just bulk up your IP infrastructure.
Absolutely. And what is fascinating, I think, for the users who will interface with these cards directly is that as far as the leading NLEs, all different kinds of applications are concerned, they're going to see this just like they see a Kona 4.
And that's why I find this card very interesting, because it's a transparency to the current people who are working in the field. They can plop this card in and they are an IP infrastructure company. And that's a big deal, and that's going to change the way you do your CapEx spending and everything going forward. So this is a big story for if you're in post-production, if you're making content on a regular basis and feeding around facilities and you've got those needs. This is a common products. These cards and these high-end switches are going to be a common product in your future. And so let's just jump into a little bit more. So we're sending around, because I'm a big person in standards and following what standards are there. Yes. This is an SD 2022-6 implementation, which is obviously a SMPTE version, or based on the SMPTE standard. So it's pretty much going to be compatible with nearly anything else or other vendors' stuff that's coming to the market, most likely also because it's part of AIMS and they're all getting together. So don't be afraid that you're locking into a particular vendor or anything. But the other side of the story is, I know this is your start into this field, but I spoke to some of the guys, your mini converters, and you're going to expand with your mini converters with this sort of technology too, is that correct?
Yeah, this is the card that says, just like it is for these users, that this is the get comfortable with moving into this infrastructure, this is also our card for saying to our market, let's start here, let's see what kinds of demands develop as we all move into IP. What do people most want to see in some of our products?
That's right. Well, and with these tools, for example, one would imagine that you now have this tool to put SDI on IP. Obviously, you want to bring it off IP and put it into a display or into a deck or anything like that. So what's the story there?
So I think you're setting it up exactly right, that as we move to the IP infrastructure, all the other pieces of our workflow are going to have their connectivity to that, right?
Yeah.
So great place to start here with the Kona IP in what we're already used to. Now, we also know that we run into, for instance, the monitoring. So this is a foray forward into that same world, sure. A foray forward. This is an IP essentially decoding this name IP receiver over 1G to an HDMI. So this is the first of what I'm sure we'll be coming out with a variety of products
right.
that say, how do we continue to extend with ease the connectivity via IP that we have for all the parts of the workflow that we already know we need. HDMI monitoring is a perfect example.
That's right. So what we're really saying here is that eventually we'll probably see a lot of these connectors in the equipment. But there's a lot of equipment, legacy equipment, and other reasons to actually integrate with non-IP based equipment. And this is the start. We're going to HDMI, but we'll probably see something like this going to SDI and other formats going forward. DisplayPort, I don't know. We'll let AJA make that decision based on your analysis of the market and what your clients are asking for.
Exactly. If you look at the workflows that we use currently, we not only go out to, let's say, our HDMI devices, but we have to come in from a variety of devices. And in the full implementation of the Kona Card, we've got that full-on connectivity. This is very much like we're simply replacing the SDI connectors that you're used to with IP, right? So it's keeping it that simple. But this is a step-down device for a single functionality. I'm sure we'll see plenty of other single functionality devices as well.
Anyway, fantastic news. IP is coming to the post-production community, be it big or small. This is now for you. Thank you very much, AJA. James Gardner, that's fine. James Gardner at NAB 2016. Bye for now.